Hi guys. Today is a special day because we're gonna be interviewing a guy who actually hit all notes. Let me just read to you his lengthy resume. So he led the division Immortals. He was a former Apple executive. He has experiences being a mobile esports coach manager. He also was a streamcaster. Sui generis Chow is a general manager of Immortals Mobile. In this role, he oversees competitive operations strategy for the new division. He reported to Immortals president Ari Siegel. Chow is also a co-founder of, is this Halcyon Hammers? Is that right?
Yes. Yeah,
Halcyon Hammers or
Hammers
Hollywood
Esports.
Hammers? Hammers. He created and led the Clash Royale division, winning back-to-back first-place finishes at the NA Crown Dual Championship, Europe's EWSC Championship. So he toured the world. In Vainglory, Chow also led Hollywood Halcyon Hammers to its winningest season in spring 2016, when Hammers took first at all major tournaments and first at the NA Spring 2016 Championships. He joined Immortals, coaching, putting together a roster that went from challengers to world champions 2017. So you are a player and you are a coach and the championship team. You said that mobile is offering a tremendous opportunity today and one of the largest player bases in the world. And you are happy to jump on board on this rocket ship. I'm ecstatic, everyone. All the Filipinos and non-Filipinos listening to me today, we have the opportunity to actually talk to somebody from ground zero, Mr. Jeff Sui Generis Chow. So, Jeff, or should I call you Sui or Sujay? Is that how people call you,
Jeff is
Sujay?
fine. Yes, Sujay in the gaming world, they call me Sujay or Sui
Sujay.
Generis is my name, but Jeff is fine here.
So what makes you unique? Because Sujay actually means sui generis means unique, right? So you're I'd say that you're unique because you have a lot of like strategic. I mean, I don't know which profession you liked the most. Was it being with Team Liquid, being an analyst commentator for Tencent Games, Supercell, Red Bull Esports, Super League Gaming, being a professional player, being a head coach? Now being a founder and owner of Game Gather, which is a gaming social mobile app.
Yeah, I would say I enjoy all of it. I think being a professional player was an amazing experience. Coaching a bunch of kids was also a very interesting experience. But just seeing them, compete and win, championships and, having a kid win like, $50,000 or $250,000 is just amazing to see and recognize in esports. I think the most fun I had was definitely streaming. So I was a partnered Twitch streamer. So I streamed for almost 3 years. And that was definitely a lot of fun because I was just able to be myself, talk to my community, my fans, and just stream my gameplay and like educate people, teach people, have fun losing, winning, and so on, and doing a lot of community events together because it's really streaming is really about community. Being an analyst commentator was also very, very fun. I had to travel all over the world. I'm talking about Australia. I did esports events in Australia, Shanghai, in Indonesia, in Jakarta, to Sao Paulo in Brazil, to London, UK. It was a ton of fun, and all over the U.S. too, of course, Singapore as well. So I was able to travel all over the world to host and do analyst commentating, like how you have the ESPN analyst on TV. I was basically that version, but for esports. So I was part of the Asia Games, for example, the Asia Games in Jakarta, Palembang in 2018, where I was the host for the mobile esports section, and also did the World Cyber Games of 2019 in Xi'an, China. So that was a lot of fun being a commentator. That's probably my second favorite job. My number one would be streaming. I think there's a big reason why there's millions and millions of streamers that stream video games, and there's hundreds of millions of people that watch them play video games, which is, to me, sounds weird, but it makes total sense, because people want to watch interesting people and high skilled people play video games. So I've done everything. I've been a pro player, a head coach, like you mentioned. I've worked for all the top orgs. I was a consultant for TSM, or Team Solomir, which is like one of the top esports orgs in North America. I worked with Team Liquid on a mobile esports project. I was in GM and head of mobile for Immortals Gaming Club. And I also started my own esports org as well, been a competitor, and then finally now I'm working on my startup, which is a gamers on demand marketplace platform that's on mobile and web. So that's kind of my journey so far, and I've been very fortunate to be in the gaming industry because it's growing so fast. I mean, just if you look at the gaming industry, just in 1970, it was $0, right? Like nothing basically. But now, fast forward to 2020, it's $150 billion industry, and it's growing, 10 to 20% or sometimes 30% quarter over quarter, year over year. So it's definitely an amazing time to be in gaming right now, and you can see with COVID and how more and more people are living online, embracing technology. That is an outcome of what gaming is. Gaming is really that interactivity that you're able to experience and enjoy online, competing with others and so on.
My friends, so in reality, I don't know how to play games, so I had to ask people about Vainglory. I mean, what about Vainglory? They actually told me that Vainglory was like an older version of Dota. Is that right? Like it's so
Yeah.
complex.
So Vainglory was very
It's
unique.
like Dota.
Yeah, Vainglory is very unique because it was the first mobile esport. Actually, they were first movers, and they were very innovative. It was basically Dota on your phone and your iPad. So it was 3 versus 3, and it was quite popular when it launched. That's where I started my esports career, or restarted my esports career, was playing Vainglory. So I was a mobile esports pro, which to a lot of people just sounds really weird that you're a pro player in mobile esports. And now it's grown since Vainglory. Vainglory did well, and then it started to decline. And then Honor of Kings, the game that we just talked about, has 200 million monthly active players, 100 million daily active players, is now a game that's like Vainglory and 5 versus 5. So it's like League and Dota on your phone. And this game is massive now. It's spawned an entirely new esports industry. The players there, the average salaries, they make 150,000 to over $200,000 a year in China. That's a lot of money in China in terms of US dollars, and that's just their salaries. There's other things that involve in terms of streaming deals, endorsements, and all that aren't really fully calculated. But it's an industry that's growing massively because the audience base is there. There's billions of smartphone gamers, right? And an increasing number of them are playing multiplayer smartphone games. So multiplayer online gaming is really the reason why esports has become so big.
I wanted you to kind of explain to me why, because right now I saw in some of the stats that India is where gaming continues to be one of the most preferred online leisure activities. I was surprised with this statistic. About 50% of smartphone users in India, that's half, play mobile games, and 40% of them actually play PUBG Mobile. It's a social communications channel. I'd say that PUBG is actually a hardcore game, right? So why do you think more and more people are attracted to hardcore games? Like they're not there for casual games. They want, is it the complexity? Is it the strategy? What about what is it in your studies that actually attracts people more into the hardcore game franchises rather than casual?
I think it's more because a lot of casual games aren't that multiplayer and aren't as in depth. So PUBG Mobile is basically a console level game, right? That's on the phone. So the graphics are great. There's so many things that make the reason why the game has over 600 million downloads, right? This game makes billions a year, just one game. And the reason why it's popular in India is because they work on the slower smartphones, and because it's social, right? It's multiplayer game, so a lot of kids play it, and a lot of even adults play it. Like people in my friends in India tell me that taxi drivers play PUBG Mobile when they're waiting in line for customers or they're taking a break. Everyone's on playing PUBG Mobile. So it's become quite a social phenomenon where if you're good at the game, you get clout. Your social standing actually improves because you're good at a game that everyone else basically plays. The Prime Minister of India called PUBG Mobile like it's like he basically made a joke saying it's equivalent to crack cocaine because it's so addicting to the population
Crack
and so many
cocaine.
people play it in India. Yeah, and in Thailand they make fun of mobile gaming because they think mobile gaming is like the new opium because like you can see people in Thailand playing Arena of Valor and mobile games, and the reason why is because it's social. It's because like you can just turn up the game, open the app, right, jump in the game, and you can start playing with your friends in seconds, right? You can get a game, a match in just 20 seconds on mobile. So that makes it really fun because it's now a social experience, and that's one thing a lot of people that are non-gamers definitely need to understand that gaming is now a multiplayer social experience. And as a result, that is what's amplifying and causing the rise of esports. Right? Esports is a social phenomenon at its core, right? It's competitive, but it's social phenomenon because it's like multiplayer. And because of mobile phones and you can play online anywhere you want, you can get into a game with like two of your buddies, three of your buddies, right? Play battle royale together and then enjoy a great gaming session. And PUBG, for those that are not familiar with the game, it's if you watch Hunger Games, it's basically a fight for survival in terms of who's the last person standing. So that's what makes PUBG so popular because it's a genre that a lot of people understand. Because a lot of people have watched Hunger Games, and battle royale is something that just fits perfectly for PUBG Mobile. And the one last point I want to make is technology has now reached that point of scale. If you go back like 10 years, you can't put 100 people on an island and have them fight each other to win who can last longest, right? Because of cloud, because of smartphone, the advancements in smartphone technology and internet, now you can host a game where hundreds of people are playing against each other. 100 people are playing against each other, and that makes it very, very fun because that is very, very multiplayer, and you're trying to survive and work with your teammates to outwit your opponents, to scavenge better, and all
Mhm.
that, and that's what makes it like so infinitely fun. I mean, I don't think I can ever get bored of playing video games.
I have a question. Somebody actually asked me, you can only get to own two publicly listed gaming companies for the next 5 years. So it's just a buy and hold. Who is it gonna be? And can you answer like why it's gonna be so dominant? I mean, you could answer like maybe two large caps and two small caps. So let's make it four. Like which one should people actually own for the next 5 years? I think you'd
Yeah,
answer C limited. I mean,
I
if
think
you're gonna ask
Tencent.
me, I think you'd answer C limited.
Yep. The first large cap one I would say is Tencent. They are not $1 trillion yet, but I think they will be one of the first companies in China, along with probably Alibaba, to reach $1 trillion U.S. market cap. Tencent understands online gaming.
Mhm.
They're the largest gaming company in the world. They're invested in almost every gaming company. If you look at their strengths, they are always ahead of the curve. So they were the ones that bet on mobile gaming, multiplayer mobile gaming early, right? And a lot of the Western companies and even companies all around the world, thought it was a joke, right? They didn't listen to them, right? And Tencent now has the most profitable game. I mean, Honor of Kings is the world's most profitable game, right? It makes more money than Fortnite. It makes more
Mhm.
money than any other game. It has the most daily active users. I mean, I don't think any game comes close to hitting 100 daily active users. I mean, that's very, very important. And Tencent is a leader. They're visionaries, right? So they're ahead of the curve. They're now going into cloud streaming platforms. So I think Tencent has a lot more room to run. So that's a large cap. So I guess another large cap that I'll talk about is C, right? C is like the Tencent of Southeast Asia. So I think they have a lot more to run. I think they can
Mhm.
become, they're what worth 50 billion now. They can run on to become, 250, 500 billion if that. And I think that C is another one that a lot of people know about already. Because Free Fire, they were publishers of other developers' games. So League of Legends, they were the main publishers. That's how Arena C started, was gaming. They were the publishers of League of Legends, which was it's the largest PC game in the world and the largest esports right now. So they published, and that's how they grew and became what they are. And now they moved into e-commerce and a lot of things online. So C, then they basically got their own development in-house because in order to make the most money in games, you need to own the IP, right? You need to be the developer of
Yeah.
the IP. So that's why Garena Free Fire, they saw a trend. Again, they're visionaries. They saw a trend with Battle Royale and PC, right? Like Tencent saw a trend in a 5 versus 5 multiplayer gameplay, and then Garena saw a trend of like 100 players or 50 players in a game playing battle royale, and that's when they started and got a dev studio in Vietnam to build Free Fire, and now Free Fire has 80 million daily active users. That game is $1 billion hit. It's contributing probably the most in terms of revenue to see right now. If I look at Garena and how much growth they had, and I think and Tencent is a significant investor in Garena as well. I mean, I think they own around 30% or more of Garena C, and that's a good partnership. So anything that's like the Tencent of another region, you definitely want to invest in. So C and Tencent are very strong. In terms of small caps, I actually have not been as active as an investor till recently, because as gamers don't really think about investing in stocks. So I've been much more active, and thanks to your help, Nikki, you've been really great with a lot of the investment knowledge and insight that you share. But a lot, like other companies looking at it, like Gravity is a really good mobile game company, and they own like the Ragnarok IP. So yep. So I think a lot of these companies that are making these like core RPG type games are going to be more successful. If you guys don't know, casual games like command about 84% of the downloads in the world, like billions of downloads on mobile games. But core games, like core RPG, core multiplayer games, they command close to well over half of the revenues. So they're like 10% of the downloads, but these core like esports RPG games are now commanding all of the revenue of the game. So I want to invest in companies that are building core multiplayer games, like Gravity and so on, and no more the Candy Crush. Right now, PUBG Mobile is more popular than Candy Crush. More people play PUBG Mobile every month than they play Candy Crush. That to me, you could like that's insane. Like Candy Crush is one of the world's most popular games, right? And for a hardcore multiplayer game to have more players play it monthly than Candy Crush, to me is pretty amazing. Because Candy Crush is a single player puzzle game, right? And it has hundreds of millions of players as well.
Yeah.
So I want to invest in companies that are making these type of Free Fire, these PUBG mobiles, these core RPG games that will succeed long term, because the gaming industry is going to continue to grow. And smartphones specifically, I'm very bullish on mobile. App Annie has already predicted mobile to be an 80 or $100 billion industry by this year, and it will be 25% larger than PC and console gaming put together. So that's how bullish and aggressive App Annie has. And in the past quarter of this year, mobile has already generated $20 billion in revenue, if you look at mobile gaming specifically. So this is growth that's like 20 to 30% growth. Like in Indonesia, for example, mobile gaming is growing at almost 60% compound annual growth rate. I mean, it's insane how fast mobile gaming is. In India, you're going to see a lot of growth there as well. So I want to invest in all the companies that support that. If you look at Agora, is another good company that I look at. They recently IPO'd. I'm a customer of them, and a lot of game companies use Agora because they provide the voice back end to gaming companies. So you basically just plug in their API, and you can have voice. You can do voice chat, video chat. They do it all for you in the back end, and it's much cheaper than developing your own like voice and video streaming infrastructure. So Agora, I think, is going to benefit massively because a lot of big game companies use Agora for their voice backend, because a lot of kids, they want to play on voice now. Everyone's on voice. Like you mentioned PUBG Mobile, right? 50% of Indian gamers that play PUBG Mobile, they're spending time in the game, not even playing the game. They're just playing the game, but they're chatting about life. They're talking about non-game things, pop culture, history, school. They're using the game as a way to connect and just play together, but also talk and like socialize. So that's why I'm very bullish on companies like Agora, that I think have a lot more room to grow, because they do business in China, right? They do business in the US. They have clouds. They have their servers all over. They have global servers. So I think in terms of the small cap stocks, I think Agora is a strong play, because they're going to lift off the live streaming, internet gaming kind of secular bullish trend that we'll see for the next decade. And then game like little studios that like Gravity, GRVY, they already run up pretty well, but they're strong mobile game developer in Asia. So I think those companies are the best bets, that are building the infrastructure for mobile gaming, and any companies that are building multiplayer core kind of RPG action games. I think they're also going to be very, very successful.
I have a question because there's actually some rumors that Epic Games is gonna get listed. Of course, Epic Games. Tim Sweeney owns Fortnite, owns all the best games. Would you say that is it a definite like no look? Doesn't matter about the valuation. Like would is it even gonna happen? Like are these things just to tempt the market, or it's not really gonna happen? So Sony bought a stake in Fortnite. They got in $250 million. I think they got in at about 10 billion market cap for Epic Games. But Epic Games like makes $3 billion in revenue. So it's actually very cheap for Sony to buy that. I
Yeah.
don't know.
So if Epic,
Did you actually take a look at them?
yeah, of course. I had a lot of discussions with investors about this as well. Epic Games, if they ever go public, you want to get in as soon as possible, even if you're paying like a slight 10% premium or 20, because the long-term growth of this company is massive. A lot of investors have talked at the venture capital stages about the metaverse. So you think about what the future of gaming looks like. We talk about AR, VR, wearables, all that. Smartphone gaming is now really, really big. It'll continue to grow, but the future of gaming, it will be more online, more interactive. So what does it mean, right? And more human. So VR is one of it. Epic Games leads the way with their Unreal Engine. They have photo realism. In their technology allows it, high fidelity visuals. Straight out of the box. That's what makes Unreal kind of better than Unity. Unity is much. They can produce high quality visuals, but they're more popular with mobile game developers. Unity is like the most popular format. They have like, I think, 3 billion devices or something crazy uses Unity. They're the incumbent, right? Unity is still very strong, but Unreal has a lot of potential. You can make a movie Unreal. Think about the future movies. Some movies are being created in Unreal Engine. You think about AR, VR applications. A lot of the AR, VR games are already created Unreal. You think about the current esports games, PC esports, Unreal. If you look at Fortnite, Fortnite to me, although it has 200 or 300 million players, right? It was a way to showcase the Unreal Engine. So if you think about Epic Games, right? They're like they're like a potential Tencent of the West, right? They have a distribution, right? They have the Epic Games Store, which is doing very, very well. They have the Unreal Engine, which is like the backbone, the underlying foundation of the game engine is everything, right? For a game. So they have the world's best game engine, I would say. They also have Unreal Engine also works really well for mobile. So they're taking market share from Unity, which is Unity is a billion-dollar company, right? So they're taking market share from them. And you think about Fortnite and all these big hits that they have, they also own the IP for a lot of these hits. So if anything, I think Epic is the company that will probably be the first to create a successful metaverse. So the metaverse is a concept in Ready Player One where you live in a virtual world and you have a life there, right? It's a metaverse. It's multiple like universes that can be created online digitally, and you can have anything you want, right? You can be a king or a hero, whatever you want in a metaverse, and that is where gaming is going to head. And Epic technology, right? Their distribution, they're starting to get into social. They acquired House Party, which is a social video chat app, right? So they're also going to exactly. So they're getting into social as well. So they own House Party, right? They acquired them. So you think about the future growth of Epic, this is just the beginning. And I think they check off all the key boxes. They own the IP, which is really important. They have the underlying foundation, which is the game engine. They have distribution, which is the game store, which is doing very well. And finally, they're social focused, right? They're mobile and social focused as well. And I think for a Western company, that is massive. And if Epic was public, I would invest in them and put literally easily 25% of my portfolio into Epic Games and just let it sit there for 10 years.
Like a huge all in, just like let's play. And yeah. Actually, I wanted to, you mentioned about like VR. So Oculus is a huge. I mean, if not the largest. I mean, it's not ever gonna get spun off. It's gonna be always inside Facebook. I saw that Facebook actually just paid $2.4 billion for cash and stock for the Oculus VR, Oculus, all the quests. I was actually amazed at how. I'm not sure if Zuckerberg really saw the future, but this acquisition to me is one of the best acquisitions that he's made. He's got Instagram and now he's got Oculus. If VR and AR is the future, does he have $100 billion industry in Oculus? I mean, am I weird to actually? Because I've been looking at their video games and they're using Oculus. I think they sold something like 5,000 units on the first week, and their goal, like Facebook's goal, is to sell a billion devices. I'm not sure if he's like hyping it up for the next 10 years, but Facebook really believes in the AR VR future. Like virtual reality is one of their biggest. I'm not sure if it's one of their biggest, but I'm seeing like from the way they talk
Yeah,
that it's one of the biggest growth that they
I
are looking.
think I think the better way to look at it, I think there is a lot of growth in AR VR because it's like a disruptive technology, right? It's a new experience. If you look at like the main reasons why someone would do something or download an app, is number one is, hey, can it make money for me, or can I buy something that I want, right? Number two is, can it help me find a partner or a mate, right? Like dating apps and so on. And number three is, can it provide a alternate reality for me? So Fortnite is an alternate reality, right? A reality that will help me experience and enjoy. So that's what gaming is. If you look at the behaviors, like you look at kids, right, the main thing is to always look at the young generation. Where are they spending most of their time, right? And gaming is dominating their time right now. You know, the fact that people are playing video games more than they watch YouTube, it is a very important statistic. That's why Google has built Stadia and they're getting into gaming. Facebook, you know, they're recognizing that a lot of young users are using less and less Facebook. They're not as active on Facebook, but they're much, much more active in these Facebook gaming groups, right? Facebook gaming groups are like in the hundreds of millions of users. I think like the last quote was like 700 million users on Facebook are in gaming groups together, and they're playing games and like forming these little community groups. And I think if based on the data, Facebook, Google, they all see this trend, right? They see the reports, and because more and more young generation are spending more and more of their time in gaming, and you see esports growing like 60% year over year, 60% year over year, that gaming is going to be a very strong bullish trend for the next few decades, right? And more people are going to spend more time online. And you think about what is better than watching TV, right? What is like it's all about content. If you look at gaming as a content medium, right? It's an interactive content medium where you can be the hero. You know, you can basically feel more free, right? Versus watching a Netflix and you're being kind of told what the story is about. In a video game, you are the story. So I think that's very, very important to understand. And as a kid, that's very powerful. That's why they love creative games. Like Minecraft is one of the biggest games in the world. You know, hundreds of millions of players. Roblox is one of the most popular games in the young teen life cycle, right? It is the game that dominates young teens. Like you think about like the 12, 11 to 15-year-old demographic, they all play Roblox together, like creating, you know, jumping in mech warriors, creating their houses and mansions and castles, socializing, hanging out at like a cafeteria in Roblox. So that is where a lot of these kids are spending their time. And when these people grow up, gaming is going to continue to grow with it. And that's why Facebook is betting big on VR and AR because, you know, Roblox is a very interactive experience, but imagine that world in a VR world, in a VR setting, right? It's going to be completely different and much more social, much more engaging.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Actually,
one
just
thing
by
about
talking to you, I would have to think that Facebook has to go. Yeah.
yeah, so another
No,
thing is
no.
like
Can you
Facebook.
repeat what you wanted to say about Oculus?
Yeah, so you think about Oculus, right? Right now it's only $399 for the Oculus Quest, which doesn't require a PC, right? The cost is getting lower and lower, so there's more adoption. And then finally, I talked about the metaverse earlier, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's gunning for the metaverse, right? If Epic builds it or whatever company is able to successfully build the metaverse where they get network effects and they build like the first online like gaming hub and destination for the VR generation, then they will be $1 trillion company. Because you think about again, it's all about engagement. How much time are people spending online, and where you spend your time online, you're going to spend money, right? That's why mobile gaming is more profitable than PC and console now. Because you look in China, a hardcore mobile gamer plays 40 hours a week. A hardcore PC gamer plays 30 hours a week. They're spending more time playing mobile games. And because they spend more time on mobile games, they're spending more money. So it's a fact of like the engagement comes first, the time spent in engagement comes first, and then all of the revenue will come right after. Like Free Fire. The average time spent on Free Fire is like way over an hour, right? 45 minutes, an hour, if you look at the Garena earnings report. And as a result, because and Garena has able to double their quarterly paying users. I mean, they doubled, I think, from like the 5% to now close to 10% of paying users playing video games. I mean, that's massive, right? And I think that trend is going to continue to grow, and that's why the AR VR future is going to be a very lucrative one once the technology and adoption reaches the stage that we see smartphones today.
Actually, with just the way you talk, like part of me thinks that I should actually evaluate whether Facebook is a $3,000 company. I mean, it doesn't matter if you buy it at $240. If it's like gonna be the virtual reality platform of the future with the help of Epic Games or Unreal, Unity, whoever it's gonna be. It depends really in the next 10 years. Actually, I wanted to ask, so you mentioned a while ago about people spending a lot of money. Did you actually spend a lot of money when you were playing? And do you still continue to spend a lot of money? Like, on average, I actually got surprised. Like my friend couldn't tell me how much he spent, but he said, okay, like I was supposed not to say, but he said like thousands of dollars. Like, is that normal for people to spend thousands of dollars for a mobile game?
So,
are they like addicts, or I'm not sure if it's an addict or is it normal?
It depends on the perspective.
What's like the average spend of a person in mobile esports?
I don't know the average, but I know hardcore.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine.
Easily they play 20 to 40 hours a week, depending on how hardcore they are. And I've met people. I've spent thousands of dollars in a game. I met a lot of people that spent thousands of dollars. If you think about it, it's our social identity. That's another thing. Like the world is living more online, and because I'm playing with my friends online in this game, I'm also competing and spending a lot of my personal time in the game. I'm very invested in the game myself. It's a part of who I am. So because it's a part of my social identity, I'm going to spend money on it. Because, for example, when I went to high school when I played StarCraft back in 1999, because I got really good at the game, I was the best gamer in my high school. It changed my life, right? I became the coolest kid. So what's happening today with Fortnite, Honor of Kings, and so on, if you're really good at these games that everyone else plays, you become instantly popular. You become awesome. And you want to show off your skins. You want to buy these cosmetics. Some of these skins cost $20, sometimes even $50 to get one amazing skin for like your favorite hero. And they'll spend on it. And it's literally just a digital asset that these developers are selling and making billions of dollars selling cosmetic skins, battle passes to help people unlock new quests and so on. And you think about, right, the world and where we are, like people are making money from Instagram. They're making money from streaming video games. They're making money from YouTube. They're making money in this internet economy, right? This internet e-commerce and this internet economy will continue to grow rapidly. So you think about the metaverse, in the far future, we're going to have people working and doing full-time jobs in VR, right? They'll be building, creating things, doing things for other people, and they'll be working in a VR world, doing a job like how we do nowadays, where we're streaming video games and we're getting paid to do that, right? We're making money making YouTube videos because more of the time spent and engagement is happening online. So I see an entirely new ecosystem and a marketplace where people will spend even more money online because it's a bigger part of their social identity. So if you spend a lot of time playing VR games and you're in this VR world and you're hanging out with all your friends through VR, and it's like you spend 20 hours a week playing VR, you're going to spend a ton of money in VR, because the time spent and engagement is there. And I think that's very important. I'm telling you, this concept of social identity. When we start identifying socially with the games that we play or the sports that we play or whatever, and it becomes part of like our social construct, we're going to spend money in that field. And that's why these game companies are making so much money in profit, because they're just selling beautiful cosmetic skins that like basically character outfits that people are paying like $5, $20 for. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I saw that article you wrote about like MAC lipsticks selling like hotcakes in honor of kings. I wanted to ask something. Because a lot of parents actually are not okay with their kids playing games, whether it be about the violence. They're I know a gamer who said that he'll never allow his kid to actually play video games, and I was wondering, but you are playing. Why wouldn't you actually let your child play? And he mentioned that it's about the violence and the sex and the drugs. And I wonder if are there actually games that aren't like that are actually able to help a person become more competitive, or I mean mobile strategy games. I mean, give your take for parents out there who's actually not happy with their kids playing hours of these video games.
Yeah, I think people overly focus on the negative narrative, like sex, drugs, whatever. That's barely ever happens in gaming, and those are only like a very few handful of games. You look at like the big games like Fortnite, they're very PG friendly. There's no blood, right? It's very cartoony. It unleashes the creativity of your kids because they're building structures, and then they also have to factor in like 7 different things on the map, like where their enemies are, their health bar, their allies, their resources, how much like wood they have to build like wall, or like their ammo and their gun, their positioning, the landscape, the format. There's a bunch of TED talks. So what I would push parents is that video game is actually scientifically proven to make your kids smarter because it accelerates the brain's development. There's a lot of amazing TED talks by scientists on the subject. There's something called the illuminating benefits of video games, the transformative power of video games. There's even a TED Talk list, like 7 TED Talks that talks about the benefits of video gaming, and it makes you much more mentally sharp. If you look at like the best coders and entrepreneurs, they're all video gamers, right? They all wanted to build a video game. And you think about why video game is like so good for the human brain, especially when it comes to developing, is you're socializing early, right? When you play Roblox and you're 12, you're socializing with all these other like young teenagers that are 12, 13, 14 like you. You're being creative. You're building worlds. You're playing these creative worlds that these other kids are making. So there's a 16-year-old kid that made like this custom game in Roblox that now he's a multimillionaire, right? He made over $10 million because all these other kids are playing it. There's one of the most popular games in Roblox is a pizza parlor where your job is to learn how to run a pizza shop, right? You have to manage the make the pizza, bake it, time it. You have to manage employees. You have to take care of customers. Where else can kids get that type of education, right? And it's very fun. It's very engaging, right? And you're playing with other players. It's a multiplayer experience. So you're interacting. You're building relationships. You're communicating. You're talking to other human beings. And on top of that, it's a very complex game, right? There's resource management. There's economies you have to think about. There's so many factors in a video game where it's like, to me, I think Mark Cuban like used this analogy very well. It's like soccer and chess put together, but it's 4D, right? And because your brain is like processing all this information, you have to look at you have to look at your enemies, your allies, what type of heroes you're playing, what heroes they're playing, what weapons they have, what are they building, what's the counter build to that. There's so many inputs that your brain is processing that it actually develops your brain much faster. It makes you much more agile, much more sharp. So I highly suggest parents that are kind of anti-video game or think video games is bad for your kid. It's not. The data already shows that. Look and watch the TED Talks. Like watch the TED Talks and how they show the benefits of video game. And the last thing I want to say is, of course, there's always negatives. It's like if you drink too much alcohol or you do anything in excess, is bad for you, period, right? You can eat too much is bad for you, right? So video gaming is the same way. If you're addicted to video games and you play too much video games, of course it's going to be bad for you. But the narrative is always about addiction, and it's always overly focusing on the negative scenario where it's a tiny, tiny, tiny percent of the negative outcomes. Where if you look at gaming in general, 90% plus is a positive outcome. You know, how it brings people together, how it helps you be more competitive, how it's more social now, how it develops and accelerates, your brain's development. Strategy games are amazing to help build, strategic thinking, managing economies and teams and understanding, you know, um, how to be successful, how to beat and outsmart your opponents. It's just like sports. So video games is actually very, very healthy, of course, but you got to make sure that you don't overdo it, of course. And I think in terms of the violent game too, there's been multiple studies shown that violent video games don't make people more violent, actually. So there's no actual positive correlation between that. I think that's just like a natural bias reaction. Like it's like watching violent movies doesn't make you more violent. It's the same thing. I think that people overly focus on the negative narrative around that point too. A lot of people that play violent video games are very friendly, and they're very and they know it's fake. They know it's not real, right? You play a Call of Duty, you're like killing other soldiers. They know it's not real. It's like watching a war movie. It's the same thing. It doesn't make you turn into a killer. So I think people like overly they let the fear control the narrative for them, and then they're limiting to see the positive and the upsides of video gaming and what they can do for their kids. So
I mean, I took a lot of your time, and I know like you have work later on. I mean, I'm just gonna ask you maybe for the last 5 minutes. I have like maybe just last five questions. First question is, does your knowledge of gaming actually help you trade stocks? I never really discussed much, and then I never really asked how you even got into stocks. Do you regret doing something? I mean, was there any game that you actually learned from, and that you, I don't know, like was there any game stock or something that you knew very early on that you actually didn't know that it's going to be this big, that you could have maybe done so well? I mean, maybe just two questions, like, or and
yeah,
okay,
yeah,
if
I
it's,
think
and yeah, like what's the opportunities that are there? Lastly, number three, opportunities that anyone can do
yeah,
in
I
the
think for
gaming
me,
sphere.
I wasn't really a big investor. I had a lot of when I worked at Apple, I had a lot of Apple stock, and I didn't really invest a lot. I wasn't that focused on it. C was a company I talked a lot about when they were like less than $30. I was like one of the like not experts on the company, but I knew about their growth and what they're doing with Free Fire, and I studied Garena. I read all, about them, but I never really invested in them until later, right? And I think when it comes to
Or
stocks,
10 cent, like ten
yeah,
cent.
Tencent.
Yeah.
Tencent is good. I could invest in them early too. So now I understand. Like I need to invest in what I know and what I'm passionate about. And I think it applies to video games. You think about esports competition, you have to play the hero that you're really,
Yeah.
really good at and you really understand really well, because you can play the hero and outmaneuver your opponent. You know every detail about what makes this hero strong, what makes this hero weak. You know how good they are in the early game, to the middle phase, to the late phase of a game. And I think that applies to stocks as well. Is what I realized, a lot of my losses, or like my the ones that don't turn out as winners, are stocks that I play that I don't understand that well. I'm playing them because it's like the new hot thing, or people are like chasing it, whatever. But when I stick to what I know, like C and gaming companies, I do really well. And then when I play
You never
options on
lose.
companies, yeah, it's maybe
Yeah.
not never lose, but I don't. I win a lot more often. It's because I
Low
would buy these.
probability. Yeah.
Yeah, like
You
just like
win
in esports
bigger.
and gaming, like I would play this hero. I would buy a cosmetic skin for this hero because I love this hero. I love this assassin hero, right? It's the same with stocks. Like you only want to play with the stocks that you would buy and own the brand, and so on. So I think that's what I learned in gaming, and I think another big thing is that when it comes to if you have information that other people don't about a growing secular trend. Like I talked about mobile gaming for 5 years, right? If I invested that early in C 5 years ago, I would be very, very happy right now. But I didn't. You know, I
Hands
talked
full.
about C, but I just didn't think about
And maybe
investing
times
in like
100 your money.
yeah, I didn't. So like I'm like a subject matter expert, right? I'm the guy that's like on the front lines. I'm the one experiencing the beginnings
Mm,
of the industry 5 years ago, right? And now it's freaking massive. It's billions of dollars
mm.
everywhere, flying everywhere. And I wish I was an investor. And that's what I realized is you always have to think about if you see something with strong traction, you see it growing and you love it, buy it. Like Apple, like I bought Apple very early and I love the company, you know, and just stick to that because they're going to continue to be winners, right? And that's what I learned from you is like stay in your winners as long as possible because they're going to keep winning. And that's what I'm learning with teams. Like, for example, like I traded one of my best players because I thought I could get another player that could be just as good, and he ended up taking his team to the championship and beating our team, and I was so disappointed. And it goes back to what I learned from Warren Buffett. He was like, if you have Michael Jordan on your team and he's improving, you don't trade him, you keep him. So I got that player back.
Yeah, keep him.
I got that player back, and he won the world championship. So I think that applies to stocks too.
I
Like you
forgot to
want to
ask
keep your
this.
winners.
It, like you could now actually bet esports, right? So like I forgot about asking this big trend. Like before you play before people would bet on basketball, like Michael Jordan winning championships. Now being an esports player, do you think you could actually bet so well, finding out which champions for each game, like a CS:GO or a League of Legends? I mean, is this a career that's gonna happen in the future? Like professional esports betters? I mean,
Yeah.
should I
So
actually be
the
buying
esports betting,
esports
there, there,
platforms,
there's a lot of
betting
estimates. I actually
platforms?
Yeah, my first startup was an esports betting platform. Actually, I tried to build one with my co-founders from Macau, but we couldn't get past the regulations there. But esports betting is already estimated to be like a 2 billion or bigger marketplace, and I think it's gonna grow once it's legalized. I think there's a lot like Unicorn is probably the leader right now. UNIKRN is the
Yeah,
leader in
yeah.
like esports
They're
betting.
gonna
Yeah,
Lockbox from Canada. Yeah.
yeah. And then for the
So
viewer,
I think they're gonna list.
the game that the viewer asked about a game. It's called Work at a Pizza Place. It has 2.5 billion visits already to the game. 12 players played in like a town and city. So yeah, so the game right now there's like millions of people playing it. It's favored like 8.5 million times. But there's a lot of pizza games on Roblox, but that's one of them. But going back to esports betting, I think it's a massive opportunity. You think about gaming, cryptocurrency, digital currency, right? There's already digital currency in a game. So you think about the metaverse and what's going to happen
Yeah.
with digital currency, and you try to connect crypto into there, then you're going to spawn an entirely new ecosystem and economy. And I think that's where I'm going to be an early investor in. This time, I'm going to be an early investor. I'm not going to just talk about it, right? I'm going to be an early investor because I see so much more potential. You think about the beginnings of e-commerce and how everyone said it was so tiny and like it's not going to do anything to traditional retail. I remember those days where people were like talking
Yeah.
negatively of e-commerce. Why would you buy anything online? And now it's like growing and taking so much more market share, and it's still a small segment of total commerce, right? But I see video game is the same thing with the betting and the online economies that are now happening. People are paying each other to play together. That's my company, right? And if people are paying other people for items in games, that they're trading and bartering and everything, that's been happening actually for the past 10 years in gaming. And that type of economy is going to continue to grow. Digital assets, right? Like people are willing to pay a lot more for digital assets if it's rare and it makes them, more popular or more unique or whatever. So the scarcity rule still applies in even digital assets, which is pretty amazing.
I really enjoyed the talk. I'm actually 10 minutes over time already. I'm pretty sure you have your work. Thank you very much, Sujay. Can I call you that,
No
Sujay?
problem. Yeah. Yep.
Thank you for this really engaging talk. I'll be taking a look at whatever AR VR company that you're gonna have a future, whatever your trends that you're looking at. we'll make sure that we will highlight those as a 10x, 100x plays, whether it be existing or new companies. So I've always wanted Roblox get listed. I heard a ton of great things on Roblox. So you never know.
Yeah,
Maybe
they're
they
not
get
public
listed,
yet.
you can get them, or maybe
Yes,
you can get
exactly.
them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
they're not.
one
So
last
some
thing
of the
about
best
Roblox.
companies aren't. Um, actually,
Yeah,
yeah.
Roblox, they
Sorry,
don't
what about
describe themselves
Roblox?
as a game. They describe themselves as an online social platform. So they describe themselves as a real time online social platform. They don't even consider themselves a game company. You know, they are building an online real time social platform. That's exactly what they are. And they have the engine. They have this. If you look into Roblox, you can learn more about the company. But it's amazing the vision that Epic Games and Roblox. So when these companies become public, I'm going in. So I'm going to invest in it because I see so much more growth long term.
Yeah, actually, that's really just a Peter Lynch. Like, invest in your core competency. It doesn't matter if nobody understands it because you're early in your tribe. People really didn't understand e-commerce. Even I actually didn't understand online dating until I actually saw it firsthand. How people actually pay for online dating. Like I was so surprised that actually people pay like $40 for Tinder Gold. I was so surprised. Really,
Yeah,
I thought that
I don't
nobody
know
would
if you
actually pay. I mean, why would anyone pay
yeah
to
I don't know if
to
you've
get
seen the
dates?
if you've
It
seen the chart now.
wondered me.
In America, more people now meet online than they do any other way. So now Tinder and online dating has now surpassed everything else
Yeah,
when it comes to meeting partners. Like online dating is now mainstream, more mainstream than anything else, which is insane how fast things
yeah,
have changed in the past 10 years, right? So gaming is like that secular trend where you're gonna see more people play
yeah,
video games than
yeah,
they play sports. So
yeah. Yeah, I had friends who got married from somebody they met on Tinder. So I was like so surprised that those online dating apps actually made sense. I was part of those early bears who couldn't understand that online dating trend. So I remember year 2000, people thought it was a scam. 2015 to 2020, and it's pretty much the norm. The default. People actually go online, and that's how they get their dates. That's how they get their marriage partner. So thank you very much. I'm pretty sure all the viewers learned a lot. Um, you have your work, and thank you so much.
yeah, thank you so much,
Get
Nikki.
well.
All right, take care.
Whatever. So your day's just starting. Your day is
Yeah,
starting,
have a good
and
night.
my day is ending. So it's evening on my end. This is fun. We better get we need to do another one maybe in the next few months. Talking about something some other. I'm not sure what other pick, but we'll see. So thank you very
Yeah,
much. Bye,
for sure.
Bye,
All right, take
CJ. Bye
care.
bye.
Yeah, bye bye.
Thanks. Have a good day. Thanks.